Hello everyone, X-Wall Kill Bethelite here. And I saw a very disturbing piece of information. This is among the most disturbing information I have seen that allegedly comes from Jehovah's Witnesses in a long time. One of my friends made me aware that on an XJW Reddit post, someone showed a couple of excerpts from the updated Elders Manual. So I'm thinking, I'll check this out. And when I looked, I couldn't believe my eyes. Again, this is a online post. I believe they even have a link where you can download from that post. Also, my Facebook group. Again, watch your ears, the Fuck With Watchtower Society. That's my Facebook group. There's a post on that group from my friend who I don't know if wants to be named, but there's a post that shows those articles on the group, the Facebook group. Again, the group is called the Fuck With Watchtower Society. It's the society that fucks with Watchtower. That's on Facebook. If you join that group, you'll be able to see the post. If you go on XJW Reddit, if it's still up, you should be able to see the post. Now, I haven't read the whole Elders Manual, but I have seen that little bit of disturbing information. Essentially, 2 points stood out to me. One of those things was Jehovah's Witnesses in that Elders Manual were basically saying they're not going to do anything legally about child pornography. So in that bit of an excerpt, which you can read on the Facebook group I've mentioned, or if you can find it on the XJW Reddit group, you can read that if elders find out that someone has been watching child pornography, that's typically not something that you just stumble upon. Typically, you just don't walk past somebody and they're watching child pornography. Usually, I'm assuming if we just use our common sense, if elders become aware that someone has been watching child pornography, normally they will report it. Normally, it got so bad that one of their family members stumbled upon it on their computer. One of their friends stumbled upon it on their computer, and they were so shocked. They didn't know what else to do. They go to the elders. Well, the elders are saying, allegedly, from the information I've been able to gather from the new Elders Manual, that they're going to talk to this person. Now, whether or not this person receives any kind of disciplinary action, they're not even mentioning calling the police. Whether or not this person has any disciplinary action done to them, once it's reported that they've watched child pornography, and once they have admitted to watching the child pornography, they're going to base it on the frequency of how much child pornography he watches. So they're saying that if they watch a large amount and they watch it often, then there may be action taken. It doesn't mention calling the police. So let's unpack this. Let's unpack this. Now, for one, you can go on, and this is an adult discussion. This isn't for kids. I should have mentioned that earlier. This is for adults. So again, let's unpack this. For one, you could go on Pornhub all day long. You can be a connoisseur of pornography. And during the course of your life, you are most likely not ever going to run across child pornography. Comment down below, let me know if I'm wrong or not. Because I have never run across child pornography. There is no section. I don't care if Pornhub has got 570 sections with 1,000 different varieties. Under each section, none of them are child pornography. It's just not, from my knowledge, accessible. You're not going to go to the porn store and see what they have there. Just go get a magazine with child pornography in it, or stream a video with child pornography on it. It's just not, it's not accessible. Right? The average person shouldn't even know how to get a hold of child pornography. During the course of my entire life, I don't even know how a person gets a hold of child pornography. So that's the first thing we need to take into consideration. That if a person is watching child pornography, in my opinion, they went and sought it out. So it's not just that, well, we're going to sit here as elders and try to figure out, well, do you watch it every day? Right? If you watch child pornography 3 times a week, well, we're not going to do anything about it. It's just not frequent enough. But if you watch it every day, then we got to take a look into your actions here, brother. No. If you're watching child pornography, first of all, how'd you get a hold of it? Did you seek it out? Did you pursue it? It didn't just pop up on your screen. Did you search for it? Okay, that's enough right there. That's enough right there. If you are on your computer digging and searching, and I don't even know how you would find it, but you find it, child pornography, that alone should be enough. It shouldn't be a matter of let's figure out how often during the week, how many hours he watches it. Does he watch it on weekends also, or just during the week? Because if he watches it all 7 days of the week, well, then we got to do something. But if you take a break on the weekends, just don't watch it on meeting nights. You know what I mean? No, that's not how I'm personally looking at it. The way I'm looking at it is you sought it out. You didn't just pop up. So that right there is a problem. Looking for stuff like that. Right? That right there, that alone is there needs to be some kind of therapy. That alone, just looking for it, there needs to be some kind of therapy or something going on there. They don't mention none of that. Do you feel safe having your kids at the Kingdom Hall? They don't mention none of that. They don't mention the fact that he had to sought it out, look for it, came across it. Then when he came across it, sat there and watched it. Do you feel safe with your kids at the Kingdom Hall? Another point is that if a person has gone to the extent of watching child pornography, you have to understand that in every state that I am aware of, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an expert on the law, but in every state that I'm aware of, child pornography is illegal. Which means it's not up to a bunch of elders to decide how often and how frequent the individual watches child pornography. If it becomes reported to them, they sit down, they talk to the individual admits to it. What the individual has admitted to is a crime. It's not legal. So once something like that reaches the elders' ears and they have confirmed it, it should stop right there. It should stop right there and then go to the authorities. Somebody else needs to look into it. That person needs to get some sort of help. And while this person is getting all this help and letting the people who have gone to college, you got a bunch of uneducated elders trying to make decisions. Let somebody that's gone to school, works in that field, and knows how to help people, let them come in and assist this person. And while this is going on, they shouldn't be around kids. Especially in a Kingdom Hall environment where parents just assume anybody around kids, they've got their best interest at heart. So this needs to go to the police. One reason I don't like this is because the elders themselves could be involved with watching child pornography, which is one of the reasons I'm thinking why they're trying to be so lenient. They're trying to leave so many ways out because they know their wife might catch them. The elder's wife might catch them watching the child pornography. And Watchtower, they don't want to lose a whole bunch of elders. They're thinking, wow, they're making this manual. They're thinking, man, if we say child pornography is illegal, if you find out about it, just report it to the police. If we say that, man, we might lose 500 elders. They got the files at Bethel. They know what's going on. They know all these people that have been involved with pedophilia and child pornography and stuff like that. They know they done appointed them as elders now. So they know there's a good chance that if people are aware, hey, if you see it, report it to the authorities. Don't even go to the elders. Report it to the authorities. They don't want that because they know they're going to lose half their elders, right? So they want this to be something that is handled in-house where they can look into it and figure out just how much child pornography you watch, right? And then just from there, they may not even do anything from a Jehovah's Witness judicial standpoint. How do all the peoples that have been disfellowship feel about that? Let's say you're dating someone and this person is your girlfriend or your boyfriend and they have consented to adult sex, but you weren't married. Let's say you consented with someone because you're an adult, so you can consent, and the other person who was an adult, they consented, and let's say you had sex. And then once the elders find out, what do? They disfellowship you. They reprove you. They make the announcement on top of the stage in front of everybody. Well, how does it make you feel now that you know, allegedly, according to this article, that once they find out a person has watched something illegal, who knows what they've been involved in? We just know what they want. They're watching something illegal with people who can't consent. Well, they may not do anything about that. They might let that go. It didn't matter to the elders how frequent you had sex with that person who wasn't your husband or wife. It didn't matter to them that you slept over your significant other or your boyfriend and girlfriend. You slept with them one time. It just happened once. Slipped up once or twice. That didn't matter. They still reproved you, disfellowshipped you. it may not have mattered to them. It infuriates me to think that people who can consent to sex, they'll disfellowship them. People who deal with children that can't consent, they're not disfellowshipping them. And they're not reporting this to the police so that the police can kind of figure out not just who this person is viewing it, but where it's coming from, who's doing it, who's producing the stuff. And if minors are involved, get all that stopped, right? It just doesn't sound like, according to that article, which is allegedly from the Elders book, you can get on the Facebook group, the Fuck with Watchtower Society, right? The Fuck with Watchtower Society on Facebook. You can go on that group and it's posted there. Or it's on XJW Reddit. I don't know exactly where at this point. Somebody showed me the link. You can look, you can see for yourself that they're making loopholes for pedophiles because, well, you don't want to lose half your elder body. But the elder body that are pedophiles are out telling everybody else they can't talk to their families. They're disfellowship. They can't talk to their friends. Nobody in the congregation can talk to the person who had sex with somebody who could consent. I'm talking take the whole disfellowshipping arrangement and throw it out. Y'all are not disfellowshipping pedophiles? You're not disfellowshipping pedophiles. So then nobody should be disfellowshipped because you can't get no worse than that. I don't care if you had an affair with another adult for 5 years. It's not as bad as all this insane stuff that I'm reading from what's supposed to be coming from the Elders Manual about pedophilia. When I read the stuff about this, my chest was tight. I was on the phone with my friend who was telling me about my chest was tight. I had to literally go watch a comedy show to start laughing because I was so upset. It brought back too many memories of things that I saw growing up as a Jehovah's Witness that was not appropriate. It brought back those memories, and I thought, I'm not going to sit quietly by about this. It'll never happen again. It will never happen again where I become aware of something or even that it's alleged, and I'm not doing something about it. So I haven't been able to, you guys can probably confirm whether or not that is or isn't in the Elders Manual. I don't have a physical copy. But either way, I'm doing something about it. It'll never happen again where something's going on within Jehovah's Witnesses. And back when I was indoctrinated, I didn't know what to do. But it still bothers me to this day, some of the stuff I saw. It'll never happen again. If I find out about it, there's going to be action taken. There's also a part in there about minors. From a congregational standpoint, they're not going to consider a minor who, according to them, is okay with it. And it happens with somebody who's an adult, but according to them, there's some kind of an age range where they think that's okay. They don't think that that's child abuse. Again, do you feel comfortable with your children at the Kingdom Hall? Do you feel comfortable with these people coming into your community, knocking on your doors, and they ain't been doing anything about the pedophiles? They've just been growing and growing and growing and growing in numbers. And now I'm being given information, allegedly from the Elders book, that they think it's okay if an adult does something sexual with a child if they feel the child is okay with it. Or it's okay for an adult to groom a child so they can try to marry them when they're I don't know, what is it, 17 or 18 is legal. And it's okay if it's an adult and they're grooming a child and the child is okay with it. So much to unpack there. So much to unpack. That a child can't be okay with something they're not capable of understanding. Once you're an adult, once you're 18 and up, you know kind of what's going on. You know what I mean? You know enough to know whether or not you're okay with it. But once you get below that, you're talking about people playing with freaking Barbie dolls and baby dolls and carrying them around and they don't really know what's going on. There ain't no if they're okay with it. They don't know what it is. They don't know what's going on. That much can be proven. That much we all have to agree on. When we were kids playing with dolls and toys and stuff like that, we didn't know what the heck was going on with sex. We didn't know nothing that was going on with sex. So it doesn't matter how much older the adult is. It doesn't matter if the adult is 23 and the child is 15. They keep on putting loopholes, right? They're putting loopholes to where they have some sort of an out if pedophilia gets reported. Well, if it gets reported and we sit down and we talk to the child and we can find out that the child was okay with it, well, then we can kind of look at it in a different manner. It's on the article. You guys can go on my Facebook group or actually, I don't know where it is on XJW Reddit. Somebody showed it to me, but it's posted on my Facebook group. You guys can go on there and look at it yourself. And you tell me if this is blatant effort to avoid losing too many members for pedophilia and child pornography. They're leaving open, they don't want to report a young Jehovah's Witness. One of the reasons why they don't want to report a young Jehovah's Witness, somebody that's, let's say 20, 25 and down, that's an adult, but that does something inappropriate to kids. Why? Because, well, from that point, that person ends up on a sex offender list. Then they can't be around kids. Well, Watchtower don't want that because Watchtower wants to send that person out in field service. They want to send that person out full time, passing out their magazines and pushing their agenda. They can't do that if Jehovah's Witnesses at 24 and 23 and 24 are all on a sex abuse list, because then they can't be around other kids at the hall. They can't be around other kids in the community. They can't send them standing next to carts by schools, by kids. Watchtower don't want that, so they need an out. So they allegedly put in the elders book that, well, it's okay if the child is okay with it. Imagine a little kid and a bunch of elders trying to question them and find out if they're okay with sex. How do you ask a child if they're okay with something they don't understand? Even if they said yes, they don't understand it. They can't consent, like literally can't consent to something they don't understand. Right? I don't even like that they get young kids at like 8, 9 years old baptized. They can't understand what they're doing. But when you're talking about young kids, and sex and finding out, elders trying to find out if they're okay with it, they don't understand it enough to be okay with it. They're taking a position that is very, very, very dangerous for kids. And they're taking that position because they don't want to lose members. They know they got a lot of pedophiles running around. They don't want to lose members. They know people have been reporting to elders that there's child pornography being watched. And then the elders are probably writing to Bethel, and then they finally decided, hey, let's make this official that we're only going to do something if they watch a lot of it. Because we got too many people searching this stuff out and finding it. We'd end up having to lose half our organization if that were the case. We got people at Bethel coming across it. But we don't want to have to do anything unless it's extensive, right? Unless you freaking have a marathon child pornography viewing, right? They're trying to find outs because they don't want to lose members. They don't want to lose elders and circuit overseers and all these people. Do you feel safe with your kids anywhere around the Kingdom Hall, around Jehovah's Witness households where pedophiles will understand when they come across this information that, oh, that's okay. I ain't even going to get in trouble. If your niece or nephew or granddaughter or grandson or your son or your daughter are living with Jehovah's Witnesses, this should be a concern to you. You should want to reach out to that child in specific to make sure nobody's touched them or nobody's done anything to where that's going to cause serious damage to their psyche. I wouldn't have my kids anywhere near Kingdom Hall at this point. Kingdom Halls themselves shouldn't be anywhere near a school at this point. And you read it on your own, but it made me so upset that when I go covert, in Kingdom Halls, right? I mentioned this in my other video. I'm going to do something to help the kids. Because now the article from the elders book has allegedly, it's come to my attention now, right? This can't just be allowed to just go on in my mind, right? So either we need to find out, get a physical copy, find out if it's there, and take it to authorities. I'm talking show CPS, show everybody, so this can be in the open. We need to either do that. I want a physical copy so that we can take it to everybody who deals with the psychology of children, so that we can have the right people come and look into this. Go to Bethel and talk to the people who wrote this and find out, are you reporting to the police people who watch child pornography? If not, or if you are, why does it matter how much of it they watch? Apparently you aren't. Apparently you are, if you're trying to decide whether or not it's okay if they watch a lot or a little or in the middle. That needs to be handled. And then also the children who are being molested, and the elders manual allegedly is saying it's okay if they're agreeing to it or consenting. Basically, they're saying minors can consent. That right there, I need a physical copy so I can take it to the freaking authorities. Either that, or every time I go covert in the Kingdom Hall, I'm going to try to help the kids also. If I see somebody hugging kids, you know that weird person at the Kingdom Hall that separates itself from the adults and they're just all over kids and stuff like that. When I see that, I'm going over to the person and I'm saying, hey, that's a nice suit your son or your daughter has on. Is that your dad? If they say no, it's not going to be good. If they say no, oh, that's your uncle? No. If they say this is not a family member, we have a problem. Because somebody who's not a family member is hugging all over and touching all over a minor. And I have this information from this article that I can't verify if it's true or not until I get a physical copy. So yeah, we're going to talk to the parents. And it might get loud where I'm not comfortable when I go inside of a Kingdom Hall, or if I'm trying to be undercover, if I go inside a place of worship and I see people touching all over kids and they're not related to them. Why is he touching all over your kid? Do you think I care about being embarrassed? I'm embarrassed everybody. If they don't immediately go and address it, it'll get loud. Every parent in the Kingdom Hall is going to hear me upset. What are they going to do? Call the cops? Call the cops because this person is upset. People are touching kids, right? There's nothing they can do about it. If I see it, there's going to be a problem when I go covert in the Kingdom Hall. I better not see it, otherwise it's going to be a problem. If I find out it's not a relative touching kids. If I go driving around and I find a cart and there's a kid there and the adult he's with it ain't a relative. So you got a minor with an adult and they're off secluded somewhere standing next to carts, or whether they're secluded or not, and I find out about it, there's a problem. Call their parents right now. I want to find out why I have a problem with this. There's nothing they can do about me having a problem with it. I'm going to say, call their parents now, or I'm calling CPS, one or the other. They're going to put me on the phone with the parents. I'm going to find out who is this person who is with this minor, and they're not related. You had better had known this person for the last 15 years. If I find out otherwise, we're going through CPS, everybody that is involved with it is going to find out. You've been leaving your kid alone with other adults that they're not related to. It's not going to be pretty when I find out about it. And this is a result of Watchtower's own failings. If Watchtower looked out for kids, I wouldn't have to. I wouldn't have to do all this. But now, because of what is allegedly coming from the Elders Manual, since I can't figure out one way or the other, action is going to be taken regardless. So let me find out. I don't care. Let me find out someone is with a child in that Jehovah's Witness religion that's okay with pedophile. Let me find out somebody's with a child and that child is not supervised and that child is not related to them. That alone, because of what I know, now it's a problem. Now we go make a big deal out of it. I can't force the parents to do anything about it, but it'll sure enough be reported. CPS will definitely be aware of it. Child Protective Services will definitely be aware of it. People are going to be aware now of what's going on. And if they get enough reports, this is not going to be pretty for Watchtower. Another thing I'm going to do, I'm not just going, when I go covert, I'm going to go covert for the kids also. Now, I'm not going to just walk up and talk to kids. That's weird. That's odd. But I'll definitely questions. I'll bring up questions and I'll make sure I'm standing next to a youth when I'm doing it. Because now that I know what I know, see, this is the difference between me and a Jehovah's Witness. A Jehovah's Witness finds out about things like this, and they say, oh, Jehovah will take care of it. I'm not going to do anything. Oh, people are imperfect. We'll just let it go. Oh, I just like this cult so much, I don't care about the kids. No, that's I'm the polar opposite. Now, once I find out about something, it will burn me up on the inside until I do something. I don't have another choice but to attempt to assist the children also when I go covert. So when I go covert, I'm going to make sure I'm around kids when I bring up all these questions. So how long have you guys been predicting the end of the world? Like, isn't it been like 100 years or something? You know, like, how do you know it's so close if it's never been close in the past? Kids, you know, use, I don't want to say kids per se, anybody that's younger, I'm going to make sure I make plenty of points for them to think about. Because Jehovah's Witnesses, not only do they have allegedly all this stuff in their elders manual that puts kids in danger, but they also like to shelter them. So you have a bunch of kids who are homeschooled. They are homeschooled and kept away from counselors and teachers and people that could help them. So because they're in such a sheltered environment with pedophiles, I'm going to bring up the questions, the things that make people think, and I'm going to make sure a kid is around or a youth is around. Not necessarily kids, because kids wouldn't figure it out even if, you know what I mean? I'm just so flustered and upset that I got to do something now. So I'm going covert for kids now. Don't let me see it. And when I bring up questions, I'm going to make sure the youths are somewhere around hearing this. And once they hear it, they can't unhear it. Most youths have access to a computer, access to a phone where they can look up information. So once I say it around kids, and I'm going to be slick with it, I'm going to bring up questions that they can't blame me for having. I'm going covert. As far as they know, I'm new and interested. And I should be asking questions. But I'm going to make sure I ask all the right questions. And I'm going to make sure I'm somewhere around the youths when I ask the questions so that they can hear it, become inquisitive, look the information up themselves. And then once they get old enough, they're sure to leave. Once they find out for sure, this ain't true. There's no way this is true. Oh yeah, they'll know about 1975. All the youths in the Kingdom Hall know about 1975 because I'll make sure I walk past them and I mention, you know, I'll pretend that I'm thinking to myself out loud. Predicted the end of the world in 1975. All you got to do is Google it and look it up. Man, this is interesting to me. That I'm just talking to myself, but I'm walking past all the kids saying it. I'm walking past all the youths saying it. Every youth in the Kingdom Hall now knows about 1975. I'll do that with the generation of 1914 that wasn't supposed to pass away. None of them, they're not going to, the adults can't pick up that I'm going covert. The youths aren't going to be able to pick it up either. So I'm going to go where the youths are and talk about the generation of 1914 that would never pass away. Man, they have to change things so often. I like the religion, but which I don't. This is just me being undercover. But man, they have to change things so often. If they're getting it from Jehovah, how could it be wrong so many times? Oh man, it goes into that youth's head. And the youth starts to thinking, and the youth gets on Google. And the congregation will mess around and lose all their youth because they should have protected children from pedophiles. They should have protected children. And because they're not, now other people have to get involved. We can all get involved to try to help the kids. We can report anything that we see. Anything we become aware of, we can report it. Any of these kids, we see that little thing they like to do with minors, sitting them in people's homes with just the two minors by themselves. Going into people's homes with the magazines and whatnot. I find that out. Oh yeah, we're going to report that. We're reporting all of it. You see, they can't blame me for being concerned about kids. So we're going to report it. We're also going to make sure the kids use minors, whoever, are in the vicinity. When I start getting all of a sudden very inquisitive up in here, when I just all of a sudden start asking all the right questions out loud, there's going to be all the yous around when I do it. I'm telling you, every youth in the hall is going to know the truth about the truth by the time I get done. Right? They're going to hear the whole thing. 937-789-4029. We'll try to discuss it because I gotta go to work though. But also the Facebook group. Again, this is for adults. The Facebook group is the Fuck with Watchtower Society. The article's there so you can read it yourself if you hadn't already found out about it. I don't know if other people are discussing this or not. I've been waiting for other people to discuss it before I bring it up so I can find out if somebody's figured out whether or not that's authentically from the Elder's Manual. Because right now, all I have is it's allegedly from the Elder's Manual, but that alone is enough for me to take action. I'm going to go try to help the kids now. Watchtower's done too much at this point. I'm going to try to help the kids as best I can now. I'm not just going covert for the adults. I'm going covert for the kids also. So if you're comfortable with it, you go covert for the kids. You can spout all kinds of the truth about the truth and make sure the kids are present or around, or do it while you're walking by them where they can hear it. Comment down below. Let me know what you think, but nobody at this point should have their kids anywhere near Kingdom Hall. X-Wall Kill Bethelite signing out.